4 people, 3 nations, 1 loop around the moon that will decide how and with whom humanity returns there for good. Meet the crew of Artemis 2, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. Together, they are the first humans assigned to leave low Earth orbit since Apollo 17 in 1972. This is not just a symbolic crew of 4, it is a carefully engineered system of skills, experience, and international commitments, designed the way you'd design a spacecraft, with redundancy, diversity, and specific roles built in from the start. Reed Wiseman is the mission commander. In spaceflight terms, commander is less about rank and more about responsibility density. He is the final decision maker for crew safety, procedures, and how to respond when reality diverges from the checklist. A former US Navy test pilot, he's trained to fly vehicles at the edge of their envelopes, where the physics are still being mapped out. That mindset is essential here, because Artemis 2 pushes Orion into regimes it has experienced only once before, during the uncrewed Artemis 1 flight. If anything unexpected shows up in the data, Wiseman is the one who has to integrate input from the crew, mission control, and the spacecraft systems, and then commit to a course of action. Victor Glover is the pilot. On modern spacecraft, pilot doesn't mean stick and rudder flying every second. Most of Orion's trajectory is guided by onboard computers and ground-based navigation. But when something breaks, or when timing is measured in seconds during burns and course corrections, the pilot becomes the human interface to a very complex machine. Glover flew the first operational Crew Dragon mission and has already spent nearly half a year in orbit, running experiments and performing spacewalks. That experience matters because piloting in space isn't just about manual control. It's about systems thinking, understanding how power, life support, propulsion, and guidance are interlocked, so you can improvise safely when one element misbehaves. Christina Koch is the mission specialist designated to focus heavily on systems and science. She holds the record for the longest single spaceflight by a woman, 300 and 280 days, which means she's intimately familiar with what sustained exposure to microgravity does to a human body, from fluid shifts and bone density changes to subtle cognitive effects. On Artemis 2, she helps oversee Orion's internal environment and experimental payloads, treating the spacecraft and its crew as a living laboratory. The data she helps collect will feed directly into models that predict how our bodies cope with longer journeys, like a multi-week trip to the lunar surface or months-long voyages to Mars. And then there is Jeremy Hansen, a Canadian Space Agency astronaut and mission specialist, making history as the first non-American to travel beyond low Earth orbit. His presence is not an afterthought or a diplomatic gesture, it's the visible tip of a deep technical partnership. Canada is building Canadarm3 for the Lunar Gateway, the planned small space station that will orbit the moon. This robotic arm will be far more autonomous than its predecessors on the Space Shuttle and the International Space Station, capable of inspecting, repairing, and even reconfiguring the gateway when no humans are on board. In return for supplying this crucial piece of infrastructure, Canada receives guaranteed astronaut flights under formal agreements, and Artemis 2 is the first major payoff of that deal. This is how modern exploration operates, not as a single flag-planting exercise, but as a network. The United States contributes the Space Launch System rocket and the Orion spacecraft. Canada contributes cutting-edge robotics and a seasoned astronaut. Europe provides Orion's service module, which holds its main engine, fuel, power, and life support hardware. Japan and others are building components for the Gateway and future lunar surface systems. Artemis 2's crew is therefore more than 4 individuals. They are the human interface for a distributed, multinational machine that spans continents and orbits. But a network this complex only matters if it can deliver humans safely to deep space and back. And that depends on what happens when these 4 people strap in and light up 8.8 million pounds of thrust.